The deacons have asked me to interview some of our men. We can't get together these days, so we wonder what everybody's doing. And so I've this morning have a chance to chat with one of our deacons, Wade Fury. Good morning, Wade. Thank you for doing this.
Good morning, Pastor. How are you?
I am well. First of all, I want to ask you about your own background. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Simcoe, Ontario, and spent my life on the family farm just outside of Port Dover. I grew up going to school in Port Dover, right from kindergarten to grade 12. We attended Bethel Baptist Church in Simcoe, and oddly enough, my brother is the pastor there now in Simcoe, so that's the church we grew up in, and that's where I met my wife, Rebecca.
Okay. What kind of farm did you grow up on?
It was a produce farm, so my grandfather was known as Watermelon Thompson. So.
Okay, and then when you finished high school, what was the next step in your journey?
I finished grade 12 in Port Dover, and I went off to Niagara College in Welland, and I took a 3-year construction engineering technology program there, and graduated in '95, and I started working as a carpenter apprentice for a company in Welland. Then I moved into more supervision, and then to a company in Burlington for some project management. We did a lot of motels and high-end restaurants and things around GTA and Southern Ontario. And then I spent a short time as a project manager for the city of Brantford. And then I moved on to where I am now with the Ministry of Labor. And I've been here 15 and a half years now. 15 and a half years.
What's involved in your work with the Ministry of Labor?
Well, there's not a lot of preaching in this ministry. The Ministry of Labor, I'm a construction health and safety officer. So I go around to construction sites, both proactively and reactively. And when we get a call for any accidents or complaints or critical injuries or fatalities, we go in and we investigate to determine what happened and who dropped the ball and what could have been done differently that could have produced a different outcome. So we're enforcing legislation.
Okay, are you the guy that would come around and tell me to put on my hard hat if I didn't have it on?
I am, and then I try to leave with making sure you got a smile on your face. That's my goal. Doesn't usually happen, but that's my goal.
Well, that's great. How did you become a Christian, Wade? When did you become a Christian?
When I was my brother was born for sure. I'm not quite sure if I had been born yet or not when they started attending church. They were bowling with a couple in Simcoe, and my dad had a terrible game, and they'd been asking them to come to church several times, and they hadn't gone, and they had asked him that night. My dad said, if I get a strike on this next frame, I will go to church with you on Sunday. And he got a strike, and they started attending church at Bethel, and my dad has since passed, but my mom is still attending there. I remember the 154 Maple Street Sunday School. I don't remember who it was, but I remember they did a invitation in the Sunday school class, and I remember raising my hand, and they took me down the hallway. I was young. I was probably around 5. I don't remember that either, but I do remember going to the old furnace room in the old building in the basement, and they sat and shared the gospel with me there, and I received Christ.
Very good, very good. When did you move to Brantford?
We moved to Brantford about 18 and a half years ago. I was working in Burlington at the time, and it was kind of a central location between Simcoe and Burlington where I was working. At that time, we were serving in a small church. My wife's uncle had started in Oakville, and we were commuting back and forth on Sundays to help with the church. My wife was doing the piano, and I was helping with just about everything else that needed help in the church at the time. But once we established ourselves in Brantford, Paige was getting close to school age, and we wanted to establish ourselves in a local church so that kids could grow up with some friends. And we were looking at Central Baptist Academy at that time, and which obviously we went to with the kids. And so we, as a result of the school, we checked out Central, and that's where we started attending and became members.
So you've been coming for quite a few years now.
Paige was just about to turn 5, and she is now 21. So about 16 years we've been coming to Central.
Okay. What all have you been involved in at Central?
Been on several committees, Building and Grounds Committee, couple times. I did the CDA committee. I just stepped down from there a year ago. I was on that for I think about 8 years on the CDA committee. About eight or 9 years ago now, I started working with the youth.
I know you work closely with Pastor Jeremy. In fact, I think each of you challenged the other to do more daring things.
He probably challenges me more spiritually, and I challenge him more in a men's side where life and limb could be sometimes questioned.
And now you're a deacon. What is your role on the deacon board?
I'm with membership and baptism. So my role is to, I guess, encourage people. Obviously, if you're attending and you're not a member, I'd love to take a chance to talk to you about that, to see if we can maybe make that next step with you. And then obviously, as people want to become members, there's an interview process, sort of much like we're doing now, just a quick chat to just kind of get your background and see where you're at. And then heading up the baptism services when people are interested in baptism, taking that next step of faith, that we would get together and just chat about that too and prepare them for that step.
Well, everything's different these days, that's for sure. But we're glad that God called you and Rebecca and the children to come to Central. We're glad for the ministry you've had, not just now as a deacon, but especially with our young people. And pray that God will bless you as a family. These are not easy days for families, and we pray that God will bless you. Do you have a final word for the folks at Central this morning as we end this interview?
No, just to encourage everyone to remain faithful. Obviously, with church services not being there, there's lots of resources online. Just encourage you to get involved in even ways. Maybe reach out to the pastors and deacons to encourage them, and just there's things that can be done. And if you're interested and you've got some time on your hands, now's a good time to maybe get a little bit more involved with some things and preparing for when we get back together.
Good. And we all need to keep praying for each other, and especially praying about the future. So thank you, Wade. I appreciate very much. And we do thank you and pray for the blessing on your family and also for the future of our church.